Hey everybody, this is Perch. A little bit ago, it's all hard to tell when you get the mail. I record the video, I post the video, you do some reactions, I do a reaction to your reactions, post another video. So anyway, at some point in the past, I did this video, if you might remember it, where somebody had written in. Basically, the premise was, I hate comics. I hate I'm sorry, I love comics, but I hate the creators. And the creators have been obnoxious and rude to the fans and everything else. And at this point, I want all comics to die. That was the basic premise. And, I kind of responded to a lot of that. And I still, have the same feelings. But I do think that point of view is absurd. There's tons and tons of comics out every month. Quite bluntly, if you can't find something out of all the comics being published every month that you don't like or doesn't offend you in some way, then you're just not trying hard enough. And maybe you need to seek some help. I mean that kind of seriously. That's not a throwaway joke. When there's 600 plus comics out every month, if all of them offend you, I'm not just saying you don't like them, but offend you, then you got deeper issues. The comic books are not the problem. But that said, the other thing I said in that video, and I think it was a piece that was quite important, I didn't see a lot of people comment on it, was the comic industry. When I say the industry, I don't mean necessarily the creators, but I do mean the owners, the publishers, the people who are in charge. It is worth a conversation of, why are we getting people into this state? It's not tons of people. It's not a majority of people. It's not hundreds of thousands of people. But there is this state, and it's same thing has happened with Star Wars and several of the other pop culture things where people get so angry, they want everything to blow up. Just so pissed off at what's going on and why. And the reason why, there's lots of reasons why that needs, a good think on the part of the people in charge. But keep in mind that, several years ago, a decade more, there was actually a marketing strategy from a lot of these companies to try and get people in this state. Because if you got people really, really angry, the logic went, you got higher engagement. And so it's that controversy creates cash kind of thing where, you get people really mad and they tend to lean in more to your product. By the way, it's true. No offense again to anybody, but several of you who get really, really angry at comics tend to pay attention to it more, tend to talk about it more, and tend to buy more. It's a fact. There's the challenge is, as I've said many times, is I think it's playing with dynamite when you do that, because eventually people get angry enough that they just nope out. And I think that and they tend to nope out for good. But anyway, a couple of you responded, so I wanted to hit on some of those responses that I got. It's still, to me, tragic that people get so pissed off. But anyway, here you go. Is there no place for apolitical comic fans anymore? This is the mail. It says, Dear Hey Perch, long-time listener, first-time caller, thank you. So I'm watching your latest viewer mail with a guy wanting to burn the entire comic industry down, and it got me wondering. By the way, it's stupid and silly for fans to say that. It's stupid and silly for Mark Waid to say that. Both have said that. It's dumb. It's a childish tantrum, whoever it might be. But anyway, we'll continue the mail. It says, let me preface this by saying I'm with you like 90% of the time, and I see crazy on all sides of comics culture war that's been going on for the past several years. But it feels like a majority of both the comic opinion YouTubers or just the fans vocal enough to be heard from online seem to be of the over-the-top conservative group. Now, I completely understand the message being pushed in the industry is not only diametrically opposed to this, but also being done extremely poorly. But because this is all I hear on the fan side, it started to make me feel like the comic fan demographic has itself shifted further to the right. You're around this stuff more than I am, so do you think comic fans as a whole have shifted politically over the situation since the messaging has gotten so insufferable in the industry? I don't. So bear in mind, if you go to a comic convention, you go to comic shops, you do, kind of the broader assortment of people buying comics, I think two things are true. One, the comic demographic has shifted a little older than it used to. Not a lot older, not as much as, people portray like it's a bunch of 40-year-old men running around. No, it's just shifted a little older. And that makes sense because a lot of comics are more expensive. And so it takes more cash to be part of the hobby, and you tend to get more cash when you're, anyone want to take a guess? Older. That's right. So, it's shifted that way. And naturally, when people get older, they also tend to get a little bit more conservative. Not like conservative like, socialist or far right, but just they tend to go a little bit more conservative. Why? Well, because they're starting to make more money and they tend to like to keep it. Suddenly your views start shifting into the, hey, where is it? Where are my tax dollars going? And why are we giving away all this money? And God damn it, what's going on? That tends to be how it goes. There's also, a philosophy that says people get older tend to be more religious because, death is becoming more of a realistic possibility. Things like abortion and other issues tend to hit differently when you're older, but regardless, it shifts a little bit. But on the whole, from what I see from my vantage point of comic shops and crowds and fans and everything else, I would say that if I was to kind of generally describe comic fandom, people who are buying comics, probably I would say it leans slightly left to center is the majority of fans. So slightly left, meaning slightly left means, probably, if we're going way back in time, support of gay marriage and generally kind of libertarian in a sense of like, I don't really want to get into other people's business. It's their business. I'll do my own business. Tend to think that, ultra kind of religious conservative views is stifling, but at the same time does not want the kind of crazy left-wing shenanigans you see on TV a lot. So it's like, you talk to a comic fan, they will clearly go, hey, those weirdo teachers that they show on libs of TikTok look insane. But at the same time, so does the televangelist who's telling you you're going to burn in hell if you read Spawn. So I mean, that's kind of where it all goes. I don't know if any whenever I say things like that, people are like, you will have to prove to me that a televangelist is talking about Spawn at all. And I'm like, okay, it's a broad generalization. Okay, there you have it. Come on, it's always disingenuous. People are like, the one that gets me is I read a mail from somebody who's like, I want the comic industry to be destroyed. And I'll get people writing in or saying things like, I have never seen any indication that anyone wants the comic industry to be destroyed in any way. It's like, bro, just stop. Just stop with that. Go to YouTube, search comic books, and just look at the videos that come up. The other thing that, by the way, is probably happening to you is, again, as you get older, what people don't understand is YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc., have very strong algorithms trying to present content to you that they think you will like. It's the building of the echo chamber that goes on. And so as you're getting older, you are starting to fit a profile that tends to lean a little bit more conservative. You're going to be shown those posts first. And if you pay attention to them, like if you're on Twitter and you just try this, don't go with your feed, go with the recommended for me, and then stop on a couple of tweets and engage with them, meaning click on them to see it, read the thread, click on the picture to bring it up. And then you go back the next day and you'll find like suddenly those people are showing up a lot more. Well, I mean, very simple algorithm what's going on. So the more you engage with one thing, the more you're going to get. But generally, I would say comic fans lean probably slightly left to center is at least my strong feeling of all this. But anyway, here's one more mail on the same topic. It says, greetings, Purchase Maximus. Nice. I've been listening to your show for a couple years now, and I've enjoyed it a lot. I'm one of those guys who collected as a kid, mostly left the hobby for a couple decades, and came back over the last couple of years. When I was collecting as a kid in the 80s, my best friend and I were members of a comics collectors club. Nice. Although the demographics of that, it just dawned on me that sounded pervy, that nice. It's like, nice. Okay, anyway, sorry. It consisted of 10 to 15 middle-aged school comic book nerds, and us two 12-year-olds. It was a lot of fun, and when I got back into collecting, it was sad to find there didn't seem to be anything like that in my area. What I did find, though, was an endless supply of comic book-related YouTube videos. Needless to say, there is a lot of garbage out there, but channels like yours, Cartoonist Kayfabe, Zach's, Comic Tropes, and a couple others have sort of filled that little void for me. Just interesting, informed opinions on comic books from people who share the enthusiasm for storytelling art form that I love as well. So thanks for putting your stuff out there. I hope you reconsider stopping the channel altogether. Again, clearly the videos are still going on as I work toward getting the publishing entity set up. Once that is set up and rolling, the channel kind of has to go away. But there will be something that will fill that void, besides just comics. It just needs to change its form slightly, so it'll be fine. Anyway, a lot of yours and others' videos have left me with the feeling that many people in the comic book community take themselves too goddamn seriously. One side acts like there's a plague of literal neo-Nazis using the comic book industry as a stepping stone for world domination. And they are today's infantry storming Dog Beach in Normandy when they block someone on Twitter. That is the best goddamn description of that group I've ever heard. A plague of literal. like how you slipped in that word literal. Literal neo-Nazis using the comic book industry as a stepping stone for world domination. They are today's infantry storming Dog Beach and Normandy when they block someone on Twitter. Awesome. The other side, oh, this is going to be great. You're going to give us two awesome analogies in one email, which I think is pretty awesome. The other side acts like the fact that their favorite superhero books aren't as good as they were 20 to 40 years ago is a sure sign that communist hordes are coming to corrupt their children and burn the country to the ground. That's good, but it wasn't as good as the other one. I would have slipped in something there about drag queens just to give it some extra spice. Anyway, I guess as a result of the larger culture war in contemporary society, the negative influence of social media, etc., I have to admit it can be entertaining sometimes to watch all these idiots go at each other, but it really is exasperating and definitely unhealthy for comics. Imagine the people fighting imaginary white supremacists in the comics industry, redirecting that energy into, I don't know, actually making cool comics or writing and making videos about stories and creators they love. Imagine if all the people wishing for death of the comics industry just open up their minds a little and look beyond the big two for their comic fix. I don't make it to my local store every Wednesday. I'm more of a once-a-month guy. But every time I'm struck by the extremely wide variety of new comics that people are making. There's a comic book for people of all tastes and interests. Just take it easy, people. Go outside and get some sun. Sorry, that was such a pile of words there. Guess I have some thoughts. As I said, big fan of your channel and appreciate your perspective on comics. Thank you very much. I mean, like I said, it's easy to get caught up in all this stuff, and it's easy to become part of it's the culture war, but even that I think is a little bit of a misnomer. It's not describing what's going on as well as it is the echo chamber. It is that is what it truly is. It is these big platforms, be it the one you're listening to right now, YouTube or Twitter, like X or Facebook or Reddit or whatever it happens to be. And like the clubs from when you were a kid, they gather people together and they use the technology and they use the data to try and align everything into engagement. It is engagement farming. And engagement does happen when people are pissed, more than when they're calm. It's just there's a million and one examples of this. So that's the fault, or that's the problem we find ourselves in, is, too much of all this is frankly the background behind all this battle is not comics. It's not socialists doing things. It's not conservatives being rude. It's not a secret alt-right army. It's none of those things. The secret behind all of this is tech. Tech that is squeezing out every bit of outrage and every bit of attention and every blink and everything to, generate just a little bit more ad revenue in a system that is rapidly dropping. I mean, ad revenue is way down. Engagement needs to be way up, which means anger needs to be up, which means this fight needs to be way up, which means everybody is highly motivated to keep this thing going. And the thing that really has no consequence in any of this is the comics. Because when you kind of get right down to it, what's the solution to bad comics? Well, it's like this person said, just get your ass to the store and find something in the 600 or so odd comics a month you might like to read. There's tons. It's not that hard. It's super easy, barely an inconvenience, as they say. That's what's necessary. But it's if we're living in a world of everything must die, everything is bad, destruction to the world, then yeah, I mean, look, if you're enjoying the fight, good for you. But the person who's really enjoying the fight is Twitter, is Facebook, is YouTube, because they're making money off you. You are the product. So, at the very least, if you're going to be a product to make somebody else money, find a comic book you like and all that, right? Thanks for listening. Get angry.